Here's the 7-step moral reasoning and how to resolve a dilemma using this step. You are a doctor at a top hospital. You have 6 gravely ill patients, 5 of whom are in urgent need organ transplants. You can't help them because there are no available organs that can be used to save their lives. The 6 patients, however, will die without a particular medicine. If she or he dies, you will be able to save the other 5 patients by using the organs of the patient 6 as their organ donor. What will you do? The first step of moral reasoning model is to gather the facts. The simplest way of clarifying an ethical dilemma is to make sure the facts are clear. Ask this question to yourself. Do you have all the facts that are necessary to make a good decision? For example, what organs are needed? What type of illness does patient 6 have? Or if the patient 6 agree that she or he is willing to donate organs. If I'm the doctor, I will go first to patient 6 and ask if he or she wants to save the lives of 6 patients by being their organ donor. If he or she agree, then we will run a test to see if his or her organs are qualified to donate. Now let's determine the ethical issue. The doctor experienced a dilemma by choosing whether the life of the 6th patient that had no particular medicine or the 5 patients that needed an urgent organ transplant. Which is more heavier, the life of the majority or the patient's right to live according to his decision? Here are the 2 possible things that may come up to the doctor's mind. First, save the 5 patients at all cost. The doctor can save them immediately by a lie that can cause human life to sacrifice for the others. Because of the possibility that the doctor wants to save the 5 patients, he can do inhumane actions and not look carefully at our law. Second, give the rights of patient to decide and tell the possible outcome. We need to consider that the 6th patient was alive and you are being a doctor that they need to save their human lives, giving the right to decide on the 6th patient to sacrifice or not. Why did I say it was a sacrifice? Because the 6th patient has no particular medicine, but we know that there's a possibility that he or she can survive by a treatment. Some diseases have no particular medicine but they are cured in treatment, like for example, the cancer. In the passage of Republic Act No. 7170, it is an act authorizing the legacy or donation of all or part of a human body after death for specified purposes. Other was known as the Organ Donation Act of 1999. Identify the principles that have a bearing on the case. In any moral dilemma, there are sure being taken. It is very significant to recognize this principle and in some cases to decide whether some principles are to be weighted more heavily than the others. So the 3 principles that has bearing on this case are not permitted to take the organ, 5 patients will die or 6 patients will die. For the list of alternatives, we have option 1, option 2, and option 3. For option 1, 6th patient gifts his organs to the 5 patients. There is a chance that the 6th patient will permitted the suggestion of the surgeon to take his organ in order to save the 5 patients. For option 2, don't do the transplant and the last option is to do nothing and let the surgeon will only cooperate with the surgeon will not proceed because the 6th patient didn't agree to donate organs. The 5 patients will die because there is no available organs to save their lives. And the last option is to do nothing and let the 6 patients die. Surgeon will not proceed with the transplant of the 6 patients. So going to the 5th step, we have 3 alternatives. For option 1, the 6th patient will help and provide his organs to help the other 5 patient to undergo the transplant and surely die afterwards. For option 2, don't do the transplant and let the other 5 patients die. And then option 3, do nothing and let the 6 patients die. So if we compare and weigh the consequences of these alternatives, I must say that we should choose option 1 because option 1 is the most reasonable alternative and we can save the lives of the other patients by using the organ of the 6th patient. If we look at the other alternatives like the option 2, don't do the transplant and let the 5 patients die, it's unreasonable to do so because we have an organ donor, and in option 3, do nothing and let the 6 patients die, must say that it is an absurd option and it is unreasonable to do. So we must choose option 1 because it is the most reasonable and logical option that we had. The last step of moral reasoning is to make a decision. The final decision will be the 6th patient will be the organ donor. because he may not be treated due to a lack of specific medicine, and the situation would only get worse if they all died and no one could be saved. As a doctor, I will speak with him and ask his family's permission to be the organ donor, and I will educate them on how important it is for him to donate his organ because it will help to save the 5 patients. And we will proceed legally, outlining all of the circumstances, including the need for organs and the patient's health, and the organs required for 5 patients will then be transplanted.